Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason and I'm your watch guy today. Earlier in the year I reviewed a watch from Matthew & Son. It was their Irukanji and it was the Tentacle Purple Diver. It's an absolutely gorgeous watch and I've been very excited for their follow-up on the Irukanji, and it's finally here. And they've been really kind and sent me it before the release. I've actually also tried to be very smart and plan this video for the release of this watch. It should be going out on Kickstarter today. This video goes out at 12 o'clock. I think the watch may go live at 12 or 1. So if you are interested in this piece, then the link for the Kickstarter is in the description, and I think you should be as quick as you possibly can because they're going to go quick. I fully, honestly believe that the early bird prices are just going to be snapped up like... I fully believe that the early bird prices are just going to be snapped up like... I can't click. I'm not great at clicking like that. Lightning. So today I have their Arcticus field watch and it's a beauty. It's an absolute beauty. And Matthew from Matthew & Son was actually kind enough to arrange for me to get the one that I actually asked for in for review. Now this is being sent back, so it's not a paid promotion or anything like that. I just really wanted to have one of these in for review because I was actually considering picking one up, and I still am. So let's turn this camera around and let's review this watch. Now, the Irukanji was seriously one of my favourite pieces that I got in, and Matt was kind enough to let me keep that one. As I said, this one is going back, but I have high hopes for this watch. In fact, I had high hopes for this watch, and it hasn't really let me down. I've absolutely loved having it in. I've loved wearing it for this review also. So it's packed with a Miyota 9000 series movement. It's packed with the 9039 Miyota movement, and we know that's a high beat movement. It's actually quite a good movement, also quite reliable for the price ranges that they come in at. It's got 28,800 beats per hour second hand, which you can see sweeps around very nicely around that dial. Now it is 40.2 millimeters in diameter here to here. It is 11.2 millimeters thick. Lug to lug, it comes in a very reasonable and very wearable 46.6 millimeters. Fits very nicely to wrist. And of course, these lugs are 20 millimeter lugs. This case is built out of 316L stainless steel, as you probably expected. We have a fully brushed casing, a fully brushed finish on this casing, which is really, really well done actually. We have drilled lugs for the ease of switching in and out with different band or bracelet options. This bracelet is actually a massive step up from the one that we had on the Irukanji, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So we have a screw down crown on this one, which isn't always expected on a field watch, but we do have her in this case. So it is a hand winding hacking movement, the 9000 series Miyota, the 9039. Again, something that you would expect. These watches are going out at 600 Australian dollars. I believe that translates around £260. And I think for the price that we're paying for them, it does a lot for the money. This crown is coin edged and it is signed with the MAS logo, the Matthew & Son logo. Really easy to grip hold of. And as you can see from this side profile, the lugs droop very nicely towards the wrist, and that really does help with the wearability of this watch. As we move to the back of this casing, we can see another amazing case back design. Let me show you the Irukanji. So the Irukanji had the Irukanji jellyfish on the back, very nicely designed, and that was one of my favourite case backs actually. Now the Arcticus has come along and is giving it serious competition. The case back is made up of an ice shard depiction. And you can see a high polish finish contrasted by a sandblasted finish in the centre. We have the usual specifications around the outer edge: water resistance, movement and material. One of those materials that the case back is making us aware of is this sapphire crystal, which actually has AR coating on the underside. As you can see here, it is a flat crystal sat in between this slightly brushed fixed bezel. Now this is a field watch, so I am really glad that they've made it fully brushed because it is designed to take a little beating. Not that you want to beat the watch. It's a beautiful watch. All in all, this casing provides the watch also with 150 meters water resistance, which is quite good for a field watch that's moving towards the dive territory. So I am rather impressed with that. I think they've done a good job with this casing. It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? Obviously, it's been through a lot of other reviewers before myself. As you can see, there's a few dinks, few dents or scratches around the outer edge, but that to me is a little bit of reassurance that this watch will take a little bit of abuse. It's going to be a perfect little beta watch. I say little, 40 millimeters, not very little, and that dial makes it look much bigger because it comes straight out to the edge. There's not much casing at the side, so it does look like a bigger watch than what it actually is or how it wears. But I am really rather impressed with it. Now, as we move into this dial, you can see this absolutely gorgeous ice baby blue dial finish on this one. Now, this comes in 4 different dial variations. This absolutely gorgeous ice blue dial, and it comes in these other 3 variations here. As you can see, the white, the black, and the red dials. Very contrasting between the blue and the red, and obviously the classic black and white dials. I think they've done really well with the options on this. Now, Matthew & Son did release new dial options for the Irukanji, so I don't know if they're going to do that later on in production for these watches, but it would be nice to see a full colourful range, sort of in line with the Oyster Perpetual line. I'd love to see that. So as we move into this really gorgeous dial, you can see that ice blue finish. It's very flat in finish, and I think that's the right thing to do with this colour. It's accented very nicely by the minute track, which gives a black circular border to the dial itself. Now, it is still a flat dial. We have the 5-minute intervals printed in black numerals and batons for the other minutes in white. They're very subtle against this blue dial. On the inner edge, you can see that this is a sandwich dial, and I am a big fan of sandwich dials because they give a little bit of depth to a design. They give a little bit of extra quality to designs, I believe. I really do love this dial. It's absolutely fantastically finished. Up at the 12 o'clock, we have the MAS logo, Matthew & Son, with the hourglass figure surrounding it. Down at the 6 o'clock, we have Arcticus 150 meters. Now, around the dial, you can see we have cutouts for the hour markers. Batons at the usual hour markers with the numeral cutouts at the 3, 6, 9, and 12. You can see the lower dial is a really nice white, offsetting the blue very nicely, but the black borders on these numerals really do add a little bit of character to that design. They add a little bit of boldness to the indices, the finish of the numerals. As we move past them onto the handset, you can see that this is a stainless steel brushed finished handset. It's very irregular. It's not something that you've seen on another piece, or at least something that I haven't seen on another piece. We have a skeletonized border around the edge and through the center. It's a very block type of design for the handset, but it's very original, which I'm happy to see because it gives a little bit of character also to the watch. We have a polar white second hand ticking around the edge of this dial, and as you can see, it meets that circular edge at the outer edge of the dial just on the minute track very well. Reaches straight out and touches that very nicely and adds a nice effect to the sweeping motion of this watch, which is absolutely brilliant with that 28,800 beat movement. Now, obviously, we are thinking about the loom on this one. Field style, not dive style. The loom on the Irukanji wasn't the best in the world, but it was suitable. So I want to see what they've done with this one. Let's turn off these lights and see how we are going. So as you can see, we have a ice blue loom effect on this one. The lower dial is loomed and the handset also. Now, I have been told that the loom on this will be improved in production, which I am glad about because it would be great if that sandwich dial was in the same type of effect of the handset. I'm really sorry about the audio quality there. I didn't put my mic back on. I've also just filmed the rest of this video without realizing, so I'm going to go back through it with better sound quality for you guys. Again, I apologize profusely. So let's move on from this casing and this dial and talk about this bracelet. As you can see, it is a Oyster style bracelet. It's a very nice bracelet actually. We have female end links, and these are solid female end links that fit to the casing very nicely. That's also something that they didn't do in the Irukanji. They didn't fit it to the casing. I was kind of glad that they didn't because of those tentacle style lugs. But it's nice to see that they have fitted this bracelet. It feels more like it's got a purpose to it on this one. As you can see, this one is push links. However, in production, they will be moving to screw links. The Irukanji had double screw links. This will be singular screw links, and that is a step up once more. And it's nice to see them stepping up on that quality of their production, because it shows that they are trying to still push what they do. They're not just settling for new designs. They're trying to do these new designs better each time. This clasp is again an improvement on the Irukanji. We have a milled clasp here, fold over, double pushers, safety. On the Irukanji we didn't have the double pushers, and it was rather hard to get hold of if you didn't know the right technique, but it's nice to see double pushers on this one. We have the MAS logo engraved on here with a brushed finish, and one thing that I really do applaud them for is the amount of micro adjusts in this clasp. It means that you can get really nice fit on this one, and that's what it does well. It fits very well to wrist, especially with these female end links and the short lug to lug. Let me get it on wrist and show you how good it looks before we talk about improvements or moans of it. As you can see, it has a really lovely presence on wrist, especially for a 40mm watch. You can see that the outer edge of this bezel or this casing isn't very large, and the dial comes out straight to the edge, so it does make it feel like a much bigger presence on wrist. But again, it fits really nicely to smaller wrists. Those female end links also do help very much with that short lug to lug. Really nice fitting watch actually. I've really enjoyed having this one on. I've worn it day and night through work, through days off. It's been an absolute pleasure to have in, and I am seriously considering picking one up when the production starts or when the Kickstarter starts, because I think this would be perfect in my collection next to that Irukanji. I feel like I'm just going to start collecting MAS watches, because every time they bring something out, I'm just, yep, that's brilliant, give it, take my money. Well, I say that, but last time they just gave me one for free, so this time they can take my money. Now, with that being said, with that praise being heaped upon Matthew and Son, let's bring them back down to earth slightly and talk about the improvements that I'd like to see, or the moans that I have about this watch. And there's very few. In fact, I have really picked hard at this one because it's a brilliant watch for the price of 600 Australian dollars. It's very reasonable, I believe. So firstly, you see the drilled lugs here and here. I feel like they're offset to the outer edge of the lugs. I'd like to have seen them more central. I don't know how that affects the fitting of the actual bracelet, but I would have liked to see them more central. It'd make it feel like there's more thought gone into that design. And secondly, I feel like the loom on this does need to be improved. I believe they'll probably do that in production, because that's kind of what you do in production. You improve the loom. However, I had a really short list of moans for this, so I'm just adding that one in. Better loom in production, please, Matthew. Again though, with that being said, this watch is absolutely fantastic, and it's nice to see that they've gone from strength to strength. I absolutely love this Irukanji, and I would love to add one of these Arcticus pieces to my collection. Also, I think it'd be a really suiting addition to this Irukanji. So guys, once again, Matthew and Son have knocked this one out of the park. I think if you're not into this Arctic blue version, the red will really set off a lot of people's imagination. As well as that, if you're more of a simple type of guy, more subdued on wrist, then the black and the white are really good options too. I just think that they've done absolutely perfectly with this watch. If I was designing a field watch, well, I probably wouldn't go for this because my mind isn't as great as Matthew from Matthew and Son. But I would like to think I could design something as nice as this, because it's absolutely gorgeous. These are available on Kickstarter. Please try and get in on the early bird price, because you will be disappointed if you try and hum and hard about this one. They are 600 Australian dollars on the website. I'm not sure what early bird price they'll be putting them out at. Maybe the 600 Australian dollars, which would be about £260. I think that's really worth it. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Matthew does next, because I'm a massive fan of his designs. For such a small company, such a small micro brand, ran with this passion of a father sharing these watches with his son, I think he's doing absolutely fantastically, and I hope he goes from strength to strength. Thank you for sending this in, Matthew. I really do appreciate it, and best of luck with the Kickstarter campaign. If you have not subscribed to the channel, guys, please do remember to subscribe. And if you are not a member of my Patreon page, that is also a way of seeing what's coming in on the channel next, seeing what I am planning next, a nice little discussion on there. I also post everything that I've bought, which is plenty of watches, plenty of watches. Thank you to people that have already subscribed to that or signed up to that. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.